Hi, welcome to the Hollywood Bible. I'm Stan Harrington, and today we're going to do a part 2 to the previous episode. And the reason we're doing this is because whenever I do that first part live in front of an audience at a university or a convention or a festival, I usually have a long post-mortem where people ask me for more information, more of the nitty-gritty on how we interpret information. Because if you recall, that previous episode was about how we take judgment and interpret it into a positive rather than into a negative. So today, I wanted to start this segment with a speech by a president. And you may have heard of it, especially if you're an actor. It gets passed around a lot. I think I've been given it maybe 3 times. So if you've heard it, just stick with us because we refer back to it. But if you haven't, you're in for a real treat. I just hope I don't get it wrong. And it's called The Man in the Arena by Theodore Roosevelt. And I think it goes something like, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or how the doer of deeds might have done him better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and blood and sweat, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, for there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who strives to actually do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasm, the great devotion, and spends himself in a worthy cause. So in the end, at best, knows the triumph of high achievement. And at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place will never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. I still get choked up. That's not the poem, that's me talking now. Not a wasted word, not a wasted syllable. I mean, that is a testament to great writing. So for any writers out there, books, screenplays, whatever you do, take note, nothing should be random. Now, the first line, it's not the critic who counts, is something that I have to process sometimes. And this is what this is all about, because you have to remember before cell phones and laptops and desktops, we had a personal computer. It was called this, it was called the mind. The most advanced computer ever known to man, and still is to this day and forever will be. We don't even know how 90% of it works, but we know one thing, that whatever we put in gets processed. What goes in, comes out. Psychiatrists and psychologists have been making a fortune out of this, dealing with people with self-esteem issues and self-image issues and abused kids and returned soldiers and abused wives, So what we're going to talk about when we come back from this break is 3 things. What is the source of the judgment and criticism? How we deal with it? And based on those 2 things, what is the weight that we give it? We'll be right back.
Come join the Stella Adler family of great actors, writers, directors, and producers.
Stella Adler has produced the finest actors that we have today.
Brando, De Niro,
Selma Hayek,
Benicio del Toro,
Sean Astin,
Susan Sarandon,
Henry Winkler in The Fonz.
Warren Beatty. What more do you need?
We're very proud of what has been accomplished.
People come from across the United States and around the world to the Stella Adler Los Angeles.
It's a technique that you can actually learn. It's a technique that you can actually understand. It's a technique that's actually doable.
So we hope to see you soon.
They really know what they're doing.
So now, we were talking about feedback and criticism. Now I'm going to take the feedback and criticism that I've had now and give examples, because that's what people wanted. And we're going to show the correlation between the source of the information or criticism, the weight we give it, and how we interpret it. And the first example I'm going to use is a play that I directed, my favorite play, or one of my favorite plays by my favorite playwright. It's called Savage in Limbo by John Patrick Shanley. Now, in this particular play, all 5 actors are on stage the whole time. And at the end of the night, one of my actors thought that she had a terrible show, so she assumed the whole show sucked. I thought it was the best show we had, so I have to protect my cast and the audience from this girl whining, because whose information is more valuable, the director's or the actor's? Should the actor really be judging the performance while she's on stage? She's supposed to be in character. And for me, honestly, I care less if she feels it than if the audience feels it. Because as a director, my job is to draw a line of tension between the stage and the audience. I want the audience to feel. I'm assuming that you already know how to do that. If I'm a teacher, I'm going to help you get there. But as a director, I'm hiring you because you have the technique and the knowledge, and you're supposed to do that for yourself. So I had a situation where a DP has said to me, you can't use that shot, Stan. Why not? Because it's going to suck. The whole movie suck if you're going to use that shot. I'll say, why? Because of framing or focus or continuity's off. I mean, sometimes I use that shot. And the reason I use it is because the performance is better or because the ideas are communicated better, which is more important to me than the minor details, because the audience doesn't always see what we see. I watch these videos on YouTube all the time. When I was a kid, I was growing up, I was watching reruns of Brady Bunch. And I remember on these YouTube videos where they show mistakes, there was one in particular where they're showing the episode where they're building their house of cards. It's the boys versus the girls, and whoever knocks over the house of cards loses. And basically, whoever wins gets all the money. And apparently they shot this over 2 days. And on one day, one of the girls has her hair up, and on the other day, she has her hair down. Do you think I knew that? Do you think I noticed that? I was sitting there focused on this house thinking, how high is it going to get before it collapses? There's a very famous story, I don't know if it's a legend or a true story, about a studio owner who once said, well, if they see it, they deserve it. And it's true. Just like with the girl on the stage who was in the ensemble piece who thought that the whole show sucked because she sucked. The audience isn't watching one person, they're watching the whole play. There is a hierarchy to the sources. And you have to understand where the source is in that hierarchy. In this case, the director is at the top of the hierarchy. And his opinion and his criticism and his judgment is worth a lot more than the actress who's part of an ensemble who thinks the whole play sucked because she didn't have a good show. We'll be back right after this. The Hollywood Bible's now available worldwide, guys, on Amazon, on Kindle and in paperback. But if you're like me and you don't really want to open up a device on a plane or in bed or on Hollywood Boulevard, get the paperback. It's got a little bit more information than the actual streaming series, and it makes a great gift if you know someone who wants to get into the business or be an artist. So fortify your soul, your spirit, yourself, and your dreams, and get yourself a copy of the Hollywood Bible, huh? So now as we come to the conclusion of this episode, which is really part 2, I find that it's really quite ironic that we're trying to build a vehicle that's robust to withstand the slings and arrows, all the criticism, all the judgment, build this armor around ourselves, this product that we have, which is us. While as artists, what we literally do is we expose ourselves and we open ourselves up to being vulnerable, to showing our heart and our soul and our spirit for the simple purpose of making somebody maybe laugh or cry or be moved or to think. What we do is very brave. What artists do is very courageous and it's very noble. And it reminds me of that speech we said at the beginning where he goes, it's not the critic who counts. It's the man who's in the arena, the man who spends himself in a worthy cause. I remember this line from a poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson that says, to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to be a success. So with that said, I want to leave you with this one thought. Be kind to yourselves. Be good to yourselves. When you're weighing up this information that you're taking in, this criticism and this judgment, throw out the stuff that's useless. And with the rest of it, distill it into wine, not into poison. Because if nothing else, the world does need more artists. The world needs you. I'm Stan Harrington. Thanks for joining us on the Hollywood Bible.